was my first day at Otsego Elementary School. I was with a kindergarten teacher for the first time. I've never done kindergarten before, so it was kind of cool to see that. I spent the first part of the day working one-on-one with students. I would say a letter, and they would have to write it down, not in alphabetical order. And then after lunch and recess, I went ahead and introduced myself, and the children got to ask me questions. And then for half the day at Otsego, we all have to work for their tutoring program. So I worked with 2 of my kindergarten students, and then I worked with a 3rd grader. So that was fun. It was my second day of placement. Today I spent most of the day working one-on-one with children again. I spent the first half of the day finishing up students who have been absent for the past couple of days. I was working on their work that needed to be done with them. And then I worked on finishing up what I did the week before and worked with them on writing letters out of order. And then I worked with kids on reading. They had to read books that had their new sight word of the week, which is R. And then I went to my host tutoring and I worked with 2 kindergartners and a 3rd grader. The 3rd grader had a lot of trouble with the vocab and spelling, and his test is tomorrow. He's been working on the words and stuff for a week. And then my kindergartners have been getting a lot better at saying their letters and knowing which letters are which. Today was my 3rd day at Otsego. I spent the day once again working one-on-one with students. I actually got to go to music with them right when I got there. It was pretty cool to see they sang Valentine's Day songs with their teacher. She's very nice. She had me play all these Valentine's games and songs with them. So that was fun. And then I worked one-on-one and having them write sentences. They wrote, "Hi, my name is," and then they wrote, "I am blank years old." So that was kind of cool to work. I'm still working one-on-one with them. I hope soon I will be able to work with the whole class instead of one-on-one, or even groups would be better, because maybe I'll get to know the students a little better. They just come up to me, do what they need to do, and go sit back down, so I'm not really getting to know them very well. But I did finally. Today in my field placement, we did the usual morning activity. The kids went to music, and I usually sit and watch them. They had a Valentine's Day song that they played with, and a little Cupid went from one to the next. And then I spent the rest of the day working one-on-one with students. I worked one-on-one with them. They had to write sentences down about themselves, what color eyes they have, what color hair they have, what their name is, and what their age is. And then next week I'm supposed to be having them draw a picture to go along with the words that they stated. Today in my field placement at Otsego, I came in and went to the kids with music. They now have a student teacher at their music class, and he conducted some activities for the kids to do. Then I came in and worked one-on-one with the students, as I always do, and today they had to color pictures of, like last week, that they went ahead and had to write sentences about themselves, and they had to draw a picture to go along with that. And then I also worked with the hosts at the end of the day, and I worked one-on-one with the same 3 students I work with, which is a 3rd grader and 2 kindergartners. And I worked on them with the activities that they had in the folder for me. Today in my field placement at Otsego Elementary School, I worked one-on-one with students. This week I went ahead and saw the music class again, and the student teacher was teaching the class. And then I went ahead and worked with some of the students that had been absent in the past couple days. She said that a lot of the students had been absent, so I worked one-on-one with them on their activities, and then I had to give them tests on like their alphabet and saying their sight words and stating the numbers to me. And with the alphabet that they told me, they had to say the letter, uppercase and lowercase, and then they had to say the sounds that go along with each letter. Then in the afternoon, I worked with the hosts again, and I tutored 3 students, the same kids that I always tutor, which is 1 3rd grader and 2 kindergarten students. So I'm going to be combining last week, which was my last week with the hosts, with my last week of actual placement at Otsego. Last week I spent all day working one-on-one with the kids in my classroom like I normally do, and then I spent the second half of the day with some of my students from hosts. The first group was one of my kindergartners. I worked with him on letters, and then the second kid was the 3rd grader, but he was only there for 10 minutes instead of a half hour because they had a
program going on. So then the rest of the time we just sat in the host room until we left, which we sat there for like over an hour. But Mrs. Doran, the host teacher, she gave us little certificates and bags with popcorn and a candy bar in it, thanking us for coming there and that we were such a big help to her. Then today was my last day at Otsego, and I was in the classroom all day because host was canceled due to OAAs. And I worked one-on-one with students. She had packets for each student. I worked with letters, numbers, popcorn words, words of colors, and words of numbers and shapes. For them to identify. My whole class, she decided, there was like 3 or 4, she was debating if they should be retained or not. She decided to move them forward, and that what today was for like their final grade for kindergarten or whatever. Yes, they have another month of school, but these are the basic things that they have to learn by the end. So this is like her test to see what she needs to work with them as a whole class on to make sure that they know in order for them to move to 1st grade. I did that all day, and then I brought in thank you cards for my kids and one for my teacher, and I gave that to them. And then they played a math game on the smart board, and they had me take a turn because it was my last day. They all gave me hugs, and they wanted me to come back next semester, but we'll see. Alright, well, I had a great placement at Otsego, and there's Alyssa in the back. Alright. In conclusion, throughout my time at Otsego Elementary School, I have learned many new things. I have learned that teaching kids is not always about being in charge of the classroom. It's also about helping out the class and doing what that teacher needs when you are just in a placement in her class. I really do wish that I would have had more time helping out the class as a whole when I was at Otsego with kindergarten class. Miss Scott and I did not really bond very much. She didn't seem to talk to me very much. Anytime I was in the classroom, she had me working one-on-one with children. Even when they were at music, she always had me go straight in there. So I did spend a lot of time with the students, but at the same time, I feel that I did not get exactly a feel of how it would be to be a kindergarten teacher, and that was the point of me wanting to be in a kindergarten classroom. I feel that I did learn a lot about how to work with kindergartners, but I feel like I didn't get to bond with them as much because they would come to me, do what they needed to do, and then go back to their seat. I feel like I could have gotten a lot more out of a different placement. But in the end, it's the placement that I was given, and I did learn how to work with kindergarten students in a different way and about the way different schools work. I grew up in a suburban household, and I was in a suburban classrooms all through my junior and senior year in my teacher prep. And then at the beginning of this year, I was with an urban school in TPS, and then now I was in rural. So there's a very big difference between the 3, but I still feel like this rural at Otsego was a bit more of a suburbanized rural. So, but I saw the differences about the way the community works in each of the 3. From what I have seen, I do like suburban better, but that's probably also because of the relationship that I had with my placement teacher, because she was one of my elementary school teachers, and the school as a whole, because I was very close with them through growing up going to that elementary school. I feel like I have not made that connection yet with a teacher, and nor have I really made that connection at one of these schools. I really do look at it at Otsego, so I'd consider going back there again, but I would like to be with a different teacher. But I did learn a lot from being at Otsego, and I did enjoy the placement. My kids were really cute and sweet, and I did enjoy working one-on-one with them all the time, even though I wish that I would have had more time to do things with the class as a whole.